I'm Thomas Parisi here for the Jail Paper. And today I bring to you 100 Nights of Terror. Here on 100 Nights of Terror, you will see real scary stuff, things you don't want to be around, and reasons why not to visit Lamson Street. Here on 100 Nights of Terror. Hi, this is Thomas Parisi from the Jail Paper. Today reporting from 100 Nights, where you can see in the background over here, Jeff Nash, one of the 4 sex offenders currently residing here. 100 Nights of Terror continuing every day with sex behind that dumpster over there, drugs for pills, and even rape happening on a daily basis here at 100 Nights of Terror. Good evening, I'm Thomas Parisi here for the Jail Paper, and I happen to be in front of the scariest of all houses here in Keene, which is obviously 100 Nights of Terror. As you can see behind me, 100 Nights is all quiet at night, but they do have obviously a homeless man sleeping with a sheet over his face, and Jeff Nash and the rest of the sex offenders cozy in bed. These individuals, starting with Jeff Nash, LaPlante, Conley, and, of course, everyone's favorite, John Spinks, are people that you do not want to have around yourself or your children. These are convicted sex offenders of child porn, felonious sexual assault, and other serious sexual abuse charges that you don't want you or your children going near. This is Thomas Parisi for the Jail Paper.
Hi, I'm Cece. I'd like to tell you about an incident that happened about a year and a half ago at 100 Nights here in Keene. I went outside for a cigarette just down the stairs, and there was 2 fellas out there, and one of them was kind of drunk, and he started touching and pushing away and knock it off. And I decided to go upstairs because he wasn't listening to me. And he grabbed me and pushed me. When he grabbed me and pushed me up against the wall and started groping and pushing himself up against me. And there was 1 or 2 other people outside, and I fought and kicked and panicked and got him away from me and went upstairs and immediately told Jeff, went into his office, and I assumed he was going to call the police, but he said he's out of here, he's banned. But I found out later that he let him back in. I don't know how much later. But people just stand around and watch these things happen, and they think nothing of it. They don't step in to help you. And there's things that go on inside as well as outside. I'm seeing mostly on the outside, in particular where the dumpster is. People go behind the dumpster to have sex for drugs or money and for drugs, I guess. But it's just in broad daylight, and you see it, and there's children there, and it's just, I've said things like, "Come on, guys, go in the bushes or something. There's kids here. What's wrong with you?" And it happens all the time, and people come out, and they're disheveled from what they've just done, and in broad daylight, and they know it.
Taken from the people that deserve the most. Meanwhile, in Keene, New Hampshire, there is multiple amounts, maybe in tens to hundreds of people at times, wandering the streets, wondering where they're going to sleep at night. I'm pretty sure you get to take a trip to Africa. Mindy, is that it? And on top of it all, have pictures to back that? That's a pretty precise camera footage right there. Those pixels are magnificent.
I used to come here a few times with my friend, and I came here this week, and they told me that people that have homes and are not allowed there anymore. So that made me very leery about sending other people to go there to get some supplies because they turned us away.
Right.
I have been to homeless shelters before, and they treat you a lot better than this place does. I do not recognize any of the people that are working there at this point, and I think that they need to work on how they treat the homeless around Keene. I would never bring any of my children to 100 Nights. I think that the city needs to look into that and make families feel safe at that facility.
Good evening, I'm Thomas Parisi, here for the and of course, where could I be but 100 Nights of Terror. Here with the background of me of the scariest of all houses in the city of Keene, housing not one, not two, not three, but 4 convicted sex offenders, including Jeff Nass, the guy who's running the show. I'd like to show you guys one thing. Bear with me just 1 second. So, let's say you come and you need a bed. Your bed's been taken by a sex offender. What happens to you? Well, this is what happens to you. So as you can see, there's a man sleeping there with a sheet on top of him. Because Jeff Nass is such a POS that he's let this man sleep out in the cold to his own recourses. It's pathetic, disgusting, and unconscionable to let somebody sleep outside, let alone the things that they're doing inside are actually worse than that. This is Thomas Parisi for the Jail Paper telling you, do not donate, do not give anything, and do not help 100 Nights in any way until they actually treat our homeless like they should, which are like human beings. I'm Thomas Parisi for the Jail Paper. Good morning, good afternoon. This is Thomas Parisi for the Jail Paper today with the first copy of, what is it? The Jail Paper. And this first copy we will be dropping off to 100 Nights itself because it's only right as we have the 100 Nights of Terror. Wait and see. Do. I'm on my little bicycle built for one. Here we go, folks. To 100 Nights. Alright. So it looks pretty good. Jeff Nash, John Spinks, and poor little Chip Smith. Poor Chip Smith, Dorian. Poor Chip Smith. John Conley Jr. and Paul the Plant. We are going to 100 Nights to give them the first copy of the Jail Paper. It seems pretty exciting to me. And as everybody knows, this is beautiful Gilbo Avenue. I'm going to cross legally. Don't want to do anything outrageous. Yeah. All right. Here we go, folks. Well, we just dropped off that from the 100 Nights of Terror, and fortunately, little Michael Hitchcock, the shelter manager, was out there, so we got to tell him to go check out his new thing. Hey guys, this is Thomas Parisi for the Jail Paper. Make sure you look for your copies of the Jail Paper now on sale for $1 downtown Keene. See you later, folks. I'm Thomas Parisi for the Jail. Good morning, this is Thomas Parisi for the Jail Paper on the tour of trepidation. Such a fine line that we're right here. Obviously, anybody who lives in the city can tell I'm on West Street, judging by the disaster behind me of the construction and the courthouse. But today, here in beautiful downtown Keene, we wanted to remind you of the tour of trepidation. It's kind of interesting where I'm standing. I'm on the corner, as you can see, of Federal Street and West Street. Behind me, the house of Thomas Allen, convicted sex offender, having raped a girl over the age of 13 but under 16, lives up in that building up there. And if I turn around this way, What the hell's that? Down there. That's right, it's 100 Nights. So definitely, if you have children, I'd like to advise you, do not go near the corner of Federal and West. Don't go to that building. And sure as hell, don't go to that building either. The tour trepidation will continue tonight as we go see more wonderful sex offenders. Try to find out where they are and where we don't want to go for trick-or-treating. Because remember, you might get a trick rather than a treat. I'm Thomas Parisi for the Jail Paper. Alright, sorry, I may have used some bad language as you guys loaded up. I'm kind of pissed. I have an Android phone, so I lost all you guys, but eventually people will load back up. Here we go to 100 Nights. For some reason, the only place in the world that my phone won't work. There we are. You need to make sure they have a copy. Now, I am here before their bedtime. Now, I don't see Jeff Nass's son out there, but he usually sleeps over here. Oh, neat. There it is. So, this obviously is where she exiled him. Hi there. Sorry. Displaced individuals. Here we are. Right over here. I gotta make sure they have it. It's gonna make me feel bad if they don't. Right here. There we go. That way they have their own copy. It would make me feel bad if they didn't have it. Aw. I feel bad that Mindy didn't even show up for her own party. It makes me sad. It's a dumpster compilation. Maybe Mindy was too busy counting her money before she moves to Oregon. You know, since she's an extraordinary douchebag of the year. But here we go. This is 100 Nights of Terror, people. This is where that rat bastard Steve Nass, who lets his own son sleep outside and blames him for his child porn conviction. This is where John Spinks. This is where John Conley Jr., who's illegally using Facebook, that raped a 13-year-old girl or younger. And this is where Chip E. Smith, who robbed Jake's 5-star, and other places. This is where that faggot piece of shit lives. Pardon my French. But this is an adult video, and we gotta be real. But should this place be for these scumbags? I don't think so. But what can you do? Once again, folks, I'm sorry for having taken up your time. Mindy is obviously a coward, as she is. Apparently, when I was going to do my first Facebook Live after my very first video with Steve Nass in it, she hid in her office all day. And she should. Because her letting that piece of garbage around children in a van by himself, or him giving children COVID test by himself, disgust me and should disgust you to no end when his charge was 2 counts of child pornography. Absolutely hideous that this woman is letting him run the show and then collecting awards from the Keene Sentinel, being an extraordinary woman. Bitch, please, you're a scumbag. Sorry to say that. This is an adult video. Let's be real. You, over here, yeah, you're going down. Bye-bye, 100 Nights of Terror, because the party is over. This is Thomas Parisi for the Jail Paper. Once again, folks, I'm sorry for having taken up your time. He is obviously a coward, as she is. Apparently, when I was going to do my first Facebook Live, which was my very first video with Steve Nassett, she hid in her office all day. She should. Because her letting that piece of garbage around children in a van by himself, or him giving children COVID tests by himself, disgusts me.
it should disgust you to no end when his charge was to counsel child pornography. Absolutely hideous. This woman is letting him run the show.
She's talking about you?
And then
No, this is another guy.
from the Keene Sentinel being an extraordinary woman. Bitch, please. You're a scumbag. Sorry to say that. This is an adult video. That's you. You, over here. You're going down. Bye bye, 100 Nights of Terror. Because the party is over. This is Thomas Parisi for that moment.
So, how's that referencing you? It was the next one. They're long videos. So how many of all of those are the ones that reference you? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Parisi?
Yes, sir. May it please the court, I am getting together all 4 copies of this, which I'll be able to present in one moment. What this is I do have what's referred to as the Jail Paper Keene. The Jail Paper Keene is a show that's been in this courtroom, on and off in these courtrooms since 2017. It was on Cheshire TV. It's a recognized thing of the press by the state of New Hampshire. This, as you can see from it, while salacious and in some way very rude and more circumstance, this is all in the exercise of my First Amendment right as a freedom of the press, freedom of speech. Most of those you see are commingled with other residents of the homeless shelter referred to as 100 Nights, which Mr. Conley, in this sheet of paper, is not an actual person that resides there. What it is that Mr. Conley had been staying in his van, as he had mentioned, or I had mentioned in my video, and he mentioned in his petition. Mr. Conley is registered to 17 Lamson Street, which on the piece of paper I'm about to give you, shows that he was not residing there. So as concerned citizens had messaged my television show or my Facebook page, I had gone down there to see if we actually saw him in his van. At no time in any of these videos, which you can view on the public Facebook page, the Jail Paper Keene, was there mentions of threat, intimidation. What mainly I have seen is that this was, as we have put out in one of these cases here that I have, which is mortgage specialist versus explode heavy industries, which is a case from the state of New Hampshire from 2010, which they state that news reporting is not limited to large public entities. And paraphrasing the actual case is that every sort of publication falls within this purview of the First Amendment right, which I was exercising. I'm a college student. I'm making a documentary about 100 Nights, about the large amount of sex offenders, drug traffic they have there, and other types of scandalous activities, which I believe Mr. Conley has deliberately made would come in nothing less than a gag order of saying that I cannot mention his name, go near this location, and as Mr. Conley had only filed this on Friday the 22nd, on Friday the 22nd, I had filed and made a protest for this same said location. I believe he had maybe filed it sometime in the afternoon. My event was at 7 o'clock, so it all coincided that now Mr. Conley is saying that he's being threatened and harassed. As I can do these, I do have here, I don't know if I can submit these now for you to review, but
sure.
When you review it.
Do you have a copy for Mr. Conley?
Yes, I have one for you, myself, and the plaintiff as well. Now, Mr. Conley says that he's not allowed to use Facebook. However, Mr. Conley had contacted me twice on Facebook. When Mr. Conley contacted me on Facebook, which he's not supposed to be using, that's for Mr. Conley.
So he's not supposed to be using Facebook? Or
I only presume because Facebook has policies and regulations regarding registered sex offenders that they're not allowed to use that platform. However, it's in there that there is a John Conley, which I presume could only be him, that contacted me on September 17th, a day after my first article relating to 100 Nights, which was referred to as 100 Nights Haven of Sex Offenders. Mr. Conley's image from the New Hampshire State Police Registry was included, his exact charges, and I had made commentaries to that, but commentaries affecting criticism, not stalking, not harassing, not threatening violence. What I believe has happened is in this circumstance, like with most, this is a charge that has been made to the public, or made known to the public for certain reasons by not only the court, but it's been made by the legislature. And with that being said, it has come to his attention that now he has received what he refers to as maybe embarrassing or emotional stress, duress that he's going through because this has become more publicly known. But this is not responsible because of me. This is me as an independent journalist. I receive 20 to 30,000 views a week on my videos, which strictly pertain to sex offenders and other people that would be considered a danger to the community. At no time in any of these videos is there a threat of harm, is there a threat of retaliation, or anything of that nature. So
what about the nature of your remark that you were going to kidnap somebody?
That one is very good, Judge. If you watch the end of that 6-minute video, there's a boy that I'm referring to his father in one of those videos where Mr. Conley had showed you. There's a boy by the name of Jeff Nass Jr. His father is Jeff Nass Sr., operations manager and convicted of 2 counts of child pornography and charged with solicitation of a minor in Sullivan County in 2010. The boy is sleeping outside, which is the reason I did the protest against 100 Nights. The boy was sleeping outside with a sheet over his head in this weather. So my protest last Friday was specifically for that young man and the corruption that's going on there within. If you look on the inside of this document, there is a copy that's an actual copy from 100 Nights. 100 Nights that had on October 14th, which is relevant to when Mr. Conley is saying that all this harassment took place, and stalking, is that Mr. Conley is not at his address and hasn't been at that said address for a while. So again, that's the reason why I was doing this coverage. The young man I was going to kidnap, when you watch the end of the video, you'll actually see me put him on camera, and I put the phone down and I actually start talking with Jeffrey. And I tell him, I've come to kidnap you. You know, because the young man was outside in 39-degree weather and he slept over at my house, but he now is at Southwestern. But that literally, the boy who was going to get kidnapped was this young man that I literally didn't want to see sit out in 30-degree weather. I do realize that, like I said before, this material is somewhat provocative, not in the ordinary scope of news reporting, but I assure you that it is strictly news reporting, and as Mr. Conley mentions relationship to me in said petition, news reporter. So there's a recognition that the news reporter is specifically executing his duties.
So how many times have you contacted Mr. Conley in the last week or 2?
If we look through that, I have not contacted him, not once, since September 17th.
And that's when you went down to his van?
No, I never encountered his van. Mr. Conley had never appeared at 100 Nights. I mean, I saw in the petition, he said now he would be residing in that Gilbo Avenue parking lot next to Lindy's and next to 100 Nights. However, in none of these instances, even including a Walmart video, which he hadn't showed you, the Walmart video, I had viewers say we saw his van. So I went down to Walmart, never saw his van.
Okay.
I have no idea what the petition even looks like until this very moment. And I have no intention, excuse me, to interact with these people because my idea is simply reporting. I go in front of people's houses, as you'll see in all these videos, I go in front of the houses of sex offenders. I bring up pictures where I show the offender, I show their charge, and I explain on this television season that I have, which is called the Tour of Trepidation, which is specifically places that children and parents and vulnerable adults should not go on Halloween. My season ends on Sunday. So essentially what's happened is that I have stopped my activities because it's come to the point where I'm concerned that Mr. Conley is going to feel unsafe, have to call the police, I would get a violation, so on and so forth, even if I wasn't in his neck of the woods. But I do believe that what I'm doing falls under the same freedom of speech. I have no interest in ever seeing Mr. Conley again. I didn't have any interest before this. And, you know, basically, my news reporting is strictly to the confines of telling people things that they have lost the ability. Mr. Conley has lost his privacy in a certain regard once he accepted this conviction, or 2 convictions, one for sexual contact with a victim under 13, and then felonious sexual assault, which you'll see that in his Facebook message that he sent to me, he went into great detail to describe me what felonious sexual assault is, which as he describes is a victim under the age of 13. So, and I actually might have had it out of order, but there's 3 of them all together. But in no way did I contact him after that point of what I believe.
How do you respond to what Mr. Parisi's told the court? Can you stand up, please? Yeah. He's indicated that he has not threatened you in any way, shape, or form. Do you agree with that or not?
No, he said in one video, I hope you're living in fear because I won't come and find you. If you looked at these videos full length, you can see the type of language that he's used, and he, for
Can you tell me what explicit threats he's made, rather than require me to go through all these videos? Can you tell me what threats really concern you? What does he specifically say?
He said he's coming to find me many, many times. He posts pictures of in front of 100 Nights saying, I'm waiting for John Conley, or the coward John Conley hasn't showed up yet. You know, all his fans or whatever are always commenting about where to look for me and where I might be sleeping. He said that he wanted to videotape me in my van sleeping. He said he was going to wake me up at 3 a.m. With loud knocking on the door. He said, I don't want to bug 100 Nights right now, I just want to bug John Conley Jr. He's, for whatever, singled me out. And the thing that he was saying...
So these comments, in what sense do you believe that it's harassment?
Yeah.
Plain and simple?
Yes.
And you've let him know you don't want any contact with him whatsoever?
I couldn't, after my initial response to him, I asked him to change the wording in his, when he first posted about me, I said, you have your information incorrect. I said, you know, these are the differences, calling me a homegrown child rapist, which is slander.
Have you ever told him that you want no contact with him? That's what I'm asking.
I couldn't, because after that initial contact, I contacted my probation officer. I said, listen, I just contacted this guy through the Messenger app, but is that considered Facebook too? And he said, it is. I said, okay, no problem. I went to his office, he looked through my phone, he said, just delete it, just stop, don't keep, you know, itching the scratch, which is Thomas Parisi.
That's probably a condition of your sentence, I'm assuming, that you can't be on the internet?
No, just on social media, which was, I didn't know, I wasn't on Facebook, I was on the Messenger app.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how I always used to do text messaging, but I deleted that right in my probation officer's office. He watched me. I also have a court order or whatever, Covenant Eyes, which tracks everything I do on my phone, any message I send, any phone call, everything.
All right, so how much contact have you had with Mr. Parisi in the last month?
As far as, you know, playing like ping pong, basically, you know, like I'll go to 100 Nights and everyone will be like, watch out, he's looking for you, he was just here, he was over here, he was asking about
Yeah,
you.
but the question is, how much contact? Have you had any contact with
No,
Mr. Parisi?
no.
Okay. All right, thank you. Would you like to add anything?
Yes, certainly, Your Honor. May it please the court. So basically, as I don't need to say anything, Mr. Conley has already aced himself in the gutter. Basically, long and the short of it is that Mr. Conley had emailed me. After he had emailed me, I basically banned and blocked him and ignored him. His comments and basically saying that I had called him a homegrown rapist. I have certain views on what happens to sex crimes victims. I consider what his charge is, sexual contact, victim under 13, to be something serious enough that I would make that comment. I would gladly say that my comment could be slanderous in nature if it wasn't true. I do not believe it to be true. I have no interest in the future, either now or moving forward, to have any contact with this said individual or any of the ones that I do on this television show, which is called The Jail Paper Keene. I have not singled out Mr. Conley. Mr. Conley is one of at least a dozen or so sex crimes or sex offenders that I do go to their residence. I do make special videos. This video I did a series of 3 to 4 of them, or maybe as many as 6. But the last one was on October 22nd, which was just before, it was at like 1 a.m. in the morning. But at no time, the worst that Mr. Conley can say, and I will tell you, you'll be able to see it, is I said if I did see him, I would knock on his window and ask him a question. That has nothing close to the caliber of me harassing him or trying to get him injured. He had said in his petition he literally wears a mask everywhere he goes because he lives in fear. I am not responsible for him and his emotional duress or otherwise embarrassment because of his sex crime. That's his responsibility. And as I said before, this is all in the sake of exercising my First Amendment right.
Okay. I'll take it under advisement.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you both. Until that time, the preliminary order is still in place. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All rise.
I'm Thomas Parisi here for the Jail Taper, today to present to you the facts and laws violated and facts long denied by 100 Nights. Right here, as you can see, is a list, and as we'll put in the supers now, you can see on this list that there's 23 separate names. Out of these 23 separate names represent an individual that is displaced and is being housed currently at 100 Nights. This is not a fact. What a fact is there is actually 14 people, 2 families, and several individuals on the said list, including shelter manager Michael Hitchcock and operations manager / convicted child porn sex offender Jeff Nass Sr. say that they're there, but they actually aren't. However, this should be important to folks because what is happening is 100 Nights is claiming more people than it has in order to maintain their roster instead of having 14 people. Like they actually have. On paper they put 23. Means more funding, means more money, means more glory, and it means a better way to run a flophouse the way they want it. Here at the Jail Paper, we're basically sick and tired of this insanity by this lunatics running the asylum. We've got 3 bad apples. We have Mindy, we have Michael Hitchcock, and we have Jeff Nass. All 3 of these people need to be fired, and here's why. First off, we have Mindy Camperer. Mindy, who is taking her 2nd vacation of the year, is taking these wonderful pictures in Africa. As you can see, these beautiful photos, taken with an even more beautiful camera, represent her lustful desire to take other people's money and spend it on herself. As you can see right here, this is an example of the camera that Mindy is using in these photos, which she has copywritten. This camera right here is around $5,000.
Good evening. I'm Thomas Parisi here for the Jail Paper, sanctioned by the courts, unable to express my opinion. Beyond any type of redemption, I have suffered more than anyone. Today, castrated my voice, sex offender got his way in court to maintain a gag order over the weekend, so I may not broadcast on social media his name. But here I spread to you the love and joy of he pedophile, rapist, and bastard extraordinaire here on 100 Nights of Terror.